Hi everyone, my name is Eleni Hansen and I'll be doing Unit 3, Module 6, Theory Development and Theory Formalization. I apologize for the hoarse voice as well as my son kindly shared his cold with me. So as we know, theory development, McEwen states that theories are used by members of a profession to clarify basic assumptions and values shared by members to define the nature, outcome, and purpose. So as we know that theory in nursing leads to more coordinated care and therefore less fragmented care. So it helps us nurses understand, practice in more complete and insightful ways. It helps provide us methods to identify and express ideas about the essence of our practice. And it helps organize the existing knowledge that we have and helps aid us in making new important discoveries to advance the nursing practice. So this is kind of, a visual representation of the structure of nursing knowledge. I found this very helpful. It kind of shows on the outer how philosophy of science can integrate into the nursing philosophies. And then from the nursing philosophy, it enters into the main gear, which is our nursing profession, our competence, our caring, our creativity, conscience. And then from there, that is in the meta paradigm, which is our practice and knowledge. And it kind of shows that it's flexible, it's dynamic, it's ever evolving. It can go left and right and turn whichever way it wants to. And then it has a connected to the theory conceptual model, the paradigm, and then of course the four main pillars of the meta paradigm, which is the person, health, nurse, and environment. And outside of all of that that's circling it is the realm of nursing knowledge. So it kind of shows that our nursing knowledge is forever circulating around us and we kind of apply it where we want and get different pieces of our brains working. So as we know, the different categorizations of theory, they can be categorized based on level. Now we learned this in chapter 2 or week 2. So we have grand theories, middle range theories, practice theories, or they can be based on purpose. So we have descriptive theories, explanatory theories, predictive theories, and prescriptive theories. And I'll go into what each one of these types of theories are. First, we'll talk about the meta paradigm and the four common concepts that are in all nursing theories. So we have person, and they define, McEwen defines person as composed of a physical, intellectual, biochemical, and psychosocial needs. They define nursing as a science and an art and a practice discipline involving caring. And McEwen defines environment as external elements that can affect a person, health, and ability to function independently. And as we know, these concepts are organized framework that kind of help define the concepts around which we want to have our concepts defined. So again, sorry, I kind of worded that weird. There is an organized framework around which our concepts will be defined or developed from. So just a review before I get into the different types of theories and models here. Kidd and Morrison in 1988 derived the 5 stages of theory development for nursing theory. They have the first one as silent knowledge, which according to McEwen in our textbook of chapter 2, it says that the source of knowledge is basically your blind obedience to medical authority. There was very little attempt to develop theory here. The second stage is received knowledge, where we were learning through listening to others. This one, we started borrowing theories from other disciplines and tried to mold them to fit our nursing practice. The third stage is subjective knowledge, where the authority was internalized to foster a new sense of self. So essentially, we decided to have a negative attitude toward borrowed theories, and science emerged. So nursing scholars tried to focus on defining nursing specifically and on developing theories all about nursing. And now the nursing research here is when it started to shift to the nurse rather than the client in the clinical situations. The fourth stage is procedural knowledge, and this includes both separate and connected knowledge. So we kind of took off into theory development. We started to apply theory into practice, and it was frequently underemphasized. More people were emphasizing the procedures used to acquire knowledge instead of open to new ideas for knowledge. And then the fifth one that Kidd and Morrison have for their theory stages of theory development is constructed knowledge. This is combined or different types of knowledge, which comes from intuition, reason, and self-knowledge. So this is where we kind of recognize that nursing theory should be based on prior empirical studies, theoretical literature, client reports of the clinical experience, etc. And then from that, they've kind of contemporized where we're going now in theory development, and now we're in the integrated knowledge stage. So that's assimilating application of evidence from nursing and other healthcare disciplines. So the kind of groundwork now for our nursing theory in the era that we are in is increasing to incorporate information from published literature that will help enhance clinical application, specific situation, practice theories, and more middle range theories. So from that, we'll look at conceptual models. So it's a broad formulation of philosophy based on an attempt to include the whole nursing reality as the scholar understands it. It is incredibly abstract. It's rarely testable. Some examples of this from our textbook in McEwen state that theories of human activities, theories of spiritual needs, theories of social needs. So as you can see, those are very hard to implement into nursing practice. So under conceptual models, we get a little more focused and we go to grand theory. So grand theory is composed of the more abstract conceptions, not operationally defined, and attempt to explain or describe very comprehensive aspects of the human experience and reason. So they kind of have a very global viewpoint for nursing practice, nursing education, and nursing research. Again, these are limited because they are abstract and again, most difficult to apply to nursing practice, but they're a little less abstract in the conceptual models. So some examples of a grand theory are holistic perspectives, caring, and transcultural issues. So then as we're focusing in a little more, we have middle range theory. So they contain fewer concepts and are limited in scope. They are used to fill in the gap or bridge the road between grand theories and nursing practice. You can actually have a clear testable hypotheses with a middle range theory. Some examples of middle range theories include pain, symptom management, cultural issues, and health promotion. And then we have practice theory. So with practice theory, it's more specific than middle range theory. It produces a specific direction for practice, has fewer concepts and more narrow in scope. Again, this would have a testable hypotheses, and it's focused on limited populations, so postpartum depression, infant bonding, oncology, pain management. So they're really specific with a practice theory. Now we get into descriptive theories. So kind of in the title, they describe, observe, or name concepts. It does not explain how the concepts are related. It just identifies the major concepts in there. So some examples from the McEwen textbook include theoretical model for caring for a dying spouse or situational awareness among emergency response providers. So then we also have explanatory theories, which are known as factor relating theories. So they describe the interrelationship among concepts and propositions. They try to tell how or why concepts are related. Sometimes they deal with a cause and effect. One example, the only example in the textbook, is spirituality-based nursing. Excuse me. Then we get into predictive theories, which are related to situations. So they try to study the connection under how concepts are related and then try to describe future outcomes, aka try to predict what will happen if it happens again. So using, excuse me again, usually they use experimental research. Some examples are the caregiving effectiveness model. And then we have prescriptive theories, so the situation producing theories. So they try to describe activities necessary to reach a defined definitive goal. So they use propositions to change and predict nursing interventions. So one example is by Walling in 2006, and it's the prescriptive theory explaining medical acupunctures for nurse practitioners. Then we get into operationally defined concepts. Now I did mention an operationally defined a couple slides back. So essentially, operationally defined concepts can either be defined by theory or by the operational definition for a concept. Operational definition explains how the concept is linked to concrete situations, and it lists off a set of procedures that can be performed to assign a value to that concept. So an operational definition allows a concept to be measured and to have a hypothesis for testing. They can form a bridge between theory and the empirical world as well. So then we have operational and empirical adequacy. So Hardy, 1974, essentially says that empirical adequacy is the single most important criteria used to evaluate a theory that is in nursing practice. So essentially what you're doing is you're looking for the testability of the theory. You want to look at the degree in which it's similar to theoretical claim for the theory and what type of empirical evidence validates it, aka empirical adequacy. So we're going to look at evaluating theories. So a theory can be evaluated in several different aspects. Not all theories are evaluated either. It can be logical adequacy, abstractness, testability, empirical adequacy, or pragmatic adequacy. So we have Fawcett's criteria for evaluating nursing theories. Now, I just picked Fawcett's out of our Perspectives on Nursing Theory textbook, but in our Theoretical Basis for Nursing Chapter 5 has several different nursing theory evaluation models as well. So for Fawcett's criteria for evaluating nursing theories, we have the significance. So is the theory actually significant to nursing practice or not? Pretty self-explanatory on that one. Then we have internal consistency. So basically that means if we were to take this study, repeat it again in a similar situation or with the same type of population, will we actually get the same result as the first time that it was done? Then we have parsimony. So essentially it's just looking at, is the theory content? Is it clear? Is it concisely stated? Then we have testability, and testability again is kind of self-explanatory. Can the theory actually be tested? Is it going to test what it's looking for? Is it going to give you results in what you're looking for, using the test that you're looking for? Then we have empirical adequacy, which we just went over. So those are basically looking to see if the findings are congruent with the proposition of the theory. Pragmatic adequacy is, can it be applied to the real world of nursing? Is there any specific added education or skills or training required to make this work for actual nursing practice? And then looking at specifically, once it's implemented, is the education and the skills meeting what is needed of that nursing theory? So then I have 2 discussion questions. Please pick one of the 2 to answer this week. So the first one I have is, what types of theories, grand, middle, or practice, or combination of theories would best facilitate holistic nursing care? How would you implement those theories into your practice, and what would it look like? So as we know that holistic care is an example of a grand theory, and we know that grand theories are the hardest to implement into nursing practice. So this one I kind of want to see how we can look at the patient holistically and how we can provide holistic nursing care. And then the last one would be, pick one nursing theory that pertains to either your place of work or of interest to you and evaluate it using Fawcett's criteria. So hopefully you guys learned some stuff this week. Again, I apologize for my really hoarse voice. These are some of the references for my PowerPoint presentation, and I will also post the PowerPoint presentation with this YouTube link so that you guys can go back and look through it as well. Thank you again.